Okay, so you want to go to Sauder, and we'll talk about its ranking in a second. Not that it matters, but this is a difficult process. It's a challenging, very competitive school. We'll walk you through exactly what you need to know, the different kinds of degrees, and how you'll actually go about navigating this process well so you can increase your odds of getting accepted. Let's jump in. You know the drill. We'll break this down into different sections so you can jump to the most appropriate for you. So we talk about competitiveness, specializations, deadlines, the application process, and some different practice questions on the application. Jump to the one that suits you best. Sauder was ranked the #1 business program in Canada, according to Macleans magazine in 2024. Now, I'm not biased or anything because I'm a UBC alumni. And I don't know, I feel like you could argue whether this actually is the top business program, but it was ranked that way by Macleans, so that's pretty good. It's a very competitive program. It is excellent in a lot of ways, and it is the most complex application process amongst all the UBC faculties. Now, you actually have a 94% mean grade average of accepted students because there's only 740 spots every year out of thousands and thousands of applicants. So it's a very competitive program with a tricky application process that we'll walk you through. Now, before we do that, we'll talk a little bit about the specializations available at Sauder. And as I mentioned, I'm a UBC alum. I have a lot of friends that went to Sauder, and they're all very, very employed. And I just mentioned that because I know a lot of people that went to UBC since I went there, and not everyone is in their ideal career. Whereas I would say that most people that I know that went to Sauder, they have really excellent jobs, traveling the world if they want, with big firms if they want, and they have a lot of opportunities at their fingerprints. So going to Sauder, getting one of these degrees can really set you up. Now, we'll touch on some of the specializations. So these are kind of like your broad buckets that you can be applying into. So you can specialize in marketing, accounting, finance, BTM, business technology management, entrepreneurship, general business management, global supply chain and logistics management, organizational behavior and HR, human resources, real estate, operations, and logistics. Now you can tighten up and take some additional courses. These are called the optional concentrations. And these can enhance and add some specialization to your degree. So there's business analytics, business law, sustainability and social impact, and international business. Now, there are some really interesting, unique programs at Sauder. So one is BUCS, Business and Computer Science. So this will actually give you a specific degree where you have a business course or a business degree, a BCom degree, along with a computer science degree. So this is really, really great where you can actually get yourself into very technical roles or bridging that gap between technical and business. We just did an episode on our podcast with an employee that made it to Amazon very early in their career after going through this program, which is a really big accomplishment. So marketing is going to be really good if you're wanting really anything in the marketing world. I know a lot of people that were able to get roles in marketing in large multinational companies, and now they travel the world and do amazing things. Accounting is, of course, if you're going to want to eventually specialize in accounting, and so this will help you with the prerequisites for that. Finance is your typical finance role, so if you're wanting to go into portfolio management, wealth management, private equity, banking, anything like that, this will be a huge help for that. IT and technology is really great for BTM, but I know people that have taken it into more of a technical marketing role. Entrepreneurship is a good general one, same for general business management. If you're wanting to go into operations, then global supply chain and logistics management and operations and logistics are great for that. Obviously, real estate, Vancouver is a real estate heavy city, and so that's a popular one. And then OB and HR, organizational behavior and HR, is also another general one. Now let's go into the actual application process for Sauder. So the Sauder application process has 3 key components. So you have your personal profile. So this is part of the regular UBC application. So this is a set of essay questions that range between 50 and 500 words. If that sounds like not a lot, that's true, and it presents a new challenge for a lot of students because they are used to maximizing the words, whereas in these uni applications, you're actually trying to minimize the words. So you're trying to get your message across really efficiently and succinctly. And the idea here is that it will help highlight who you are beyond just your transcript. Now, you also have Sauder-specific written essay questions. So these are additional essay questions that are needed to evaluate your eligibility specifically for business. So this is the same format as the personal profile. One quick tip is that it's often a good idea to apply to Sauder as your first choice and then take a second choice, a less competitive option, as your second choice, which UBC allows you to do. Now, the third part, and this is not shared in advance, is the video interview. So you're going to record responses to 2 pre-recorded questions. These are 30 seconds to prepare and maximum of 90 seconds to answer each. So we'll get into some of those potential questions and then also some tips on how to handle them. So the personal profile questions, and we've gone over these, is really quickly, tell us who you are, how would your family, friends, and or members of your community describe you? If possible, please include something about yourself that you're most proud of and why. What is most important to you and why? Keep in mind, these are super short responses and they throw students off because they're so short, and you really can't waste this space. You can't use your third or fourth most impactful thing that you'd like to share. You got to get it right with the first one. Then describe up to 5 activities that you've pursued or accomplished, or accomplishments achieved in one or more of the following areas. Please outline the nature of your responsibilities in those areas. Then you're going to go more in depth into 2 of those 5, and then you're going to submit your references. In the additional information, this is where you might want to give context to maybe why certain things were a challenge for you academically or with your extracurriculars, or not. It's just, you can use it to give a little bit of extra context to your story, but not much. It's a very short response area. Now, because I covered those questions in depth on another video, we're going to look at the Sauder specific questions in a little more depth here. So the first one is, and these are written, and these are submitted with your personal profile. Explain how you responded to a problem and or an unfamiliar situation. What did you do? What was the outcome? And what did you learn from it? And the second is, what do you think is the most serious challenge that our world faces today? What steps should we take as individuals and collectively as a society to address it? So these additional questions take time to prepare, and you don't want to go in and just write whatever comes to mind. You're going to need something that is going to stand out and actually address each aspect of this question really clearly. One of the key things that they're looking for is what was the outcome and what did you learn? So you're looking from the results and the reflection. This is not something that is typically done in English classes and is something that students need a lot of reps on to get good at. Now, here's how the interview process works once you actually log into the interview portal. So first, you're going to get a mock question. So in this situation, responses are not submitted. This allows you to understand the format, check your environment, and then practice responding. You can repeat this as many times as you like. Now, you want to make sure that you do this until you feel really confident with the format, using the technology, clicking the buttons, all those things. Then the first question is going to be read twice, and then it's going to be displayed on the screen. So there's going to be 30 seconds typically to prepare, and then it automatically starts recording, and you have 90 seconds to say your response. But you don't want to go right up to that 89 seconds, right? Aim for 70 to 80 seconds because it's automatically just going to cut you off at 90. And then it's pretty much the exact same thing for question 2. And then the whole thing just auto-submits once you're complete. There's no redos allowed for this. So you want to really make sure you're in a quiet area, professional, a clean backdrop, strong Wi-Fi, good lighting, so that you can present yourself well. And you want to really, really be comfortable with those practice questions so that when you get to the real questions, you're feeling so comfortable like you've done it before. Now, we covered a lot, and I hope that that's helpful with your journey of getting into Sauder. Now, if you'd like some additional one-to-one support, please check us out at AdmissionPrep.com, and we'd love to see if we can help you. Thanks for watching.